Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Who should Manchester United's next manager be if the club decide to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Now I heard that there's a lot of Manchester United fans that are demanding Max Allegri in. Julian Nagelsmann, I'd take him at Manchester United. Brendan Rodgers, I'd also take him at Manchester United because he's done a superb job at Leicester, but I can't see him leaving Leicester. Don't forget, at one point, Mauricio Pochettino was the favourite to take over at Manchester United. Obviously, when Solskjaer was under serious pressure, he was also the favourite to take over after Jose Mourinho got sacked. Tuchel, he was linked with a managerial role at Man United. Obviously, this was before he went to Chelsea. But I think we need a manager that's got that big club arrogance and a manager that has got a proven pedigree. And Solskjaer doesn't have a proven pedigree. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is our fourth permanent manager since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. We've sacked 3 managers since Ferguson retired. That was David Moyes. We sacked him after 10 months. He's the worst manager we've ever had. And we finished 7th under the David Moyes era. That's the lowest we've finished in the Premier League era. Ferguson was at the fault for recommending David Moyes in at that time. But the main explanation he recommended him in is because Ferguson seemed to have a lot of time for Moyes and they're both Scottish. We sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years. He won the FA Cup. And we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years. He won 3 trophies in his first season and got 2nd place in his first season. So you can say Mourinho endured 1 good season. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has 1 more chance. The Europa League is the only chance we've got of winning any silverware this season. If we win the Europa League, then I think Solskjaer will get another season. If we fail to win the Europa League, there's a good chance that Solskjaer will be sacked. This is what Danny Murphy believes. We haven't won a trophy since 2017. Solskjaer has been Manchester United manager over 2 years and he's not yet won a trophy. And a club of our stature needs to be winning trophies. But there's a lot of Man United fans that are demanding Solskjaer out, like I updated you yesterday. Ollie out trends again on social media. Obviously, these United fans that want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out, they've got explanations behind it. I can assure he hasn't got a long-term future at the club. We're set to begin contract talks with Ole. It said the other week that he had agreed a $9 million a year contract, so we give him a pay rise. Does he deserve the new contract? In some aspects, yeah. In some aspects, no. Sources at Old Trafford said the other week that talks are set to begin any day on the new deal because I think now Ole is into the final year of his 3-year contract. I think Solskjaer is our best manager though since Ferguson, because we have enjoyed very good periods under him where we have seen consistency and where he has got the best out of the team in some of them good periods. And he's improved certain players. And we've got to credit him in quite a few aspects. You know, he got us to the FA Cup quarter-final. He's got us to the Europa League quarter-final. Got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season, lost 2-0 to City. You got to credit him for what he did last season in his first full season. Got us qualification for the Champions League. Got us a 3rd place finish. That was the 2nd highest we've finished since Ferguson. and he guided us to 3 semi-finals. So we've been in 4 semi-finals in total so far under Ole. And last season went on a 19-game unbeaten run in all competitions. Was 14 unbeaten in the Premier League. And we've also got to say, Solskjaer has made good signings as Manchester United manager. He has spent nearly £300 million. He's endured 4 transfer windows so far as permanent Man United manager. Obviously, he's brought players like Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in. Brought players like Bruno Fernandes in and Odion Ighalo in on loan. Ighalo's no longer at the club because he left in January. The reason we brought Ighalo in January last year was to get a cover up to Marcus Rashford, because at the time Rashford had a bad injury. And last summer, obviously brought Donny van der Beek in, Alex Telles, Edison Cavani, Amad Diallo Traore and Facundo Pellistri. Facundo Pellistri obviously went out on loan in January. Solskjaer's given more or less everybody their chances, because when he got appointed in as Man United manager, he said everybody would get their chances to express themselves, including the young players. I do actually like the way he has promoted the youth, and he's brought more young players into the club. And he's also got rid of a lot of players since he got recommended in. And we haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year. So we've got to credit him for that. But I have got me concerns about Ole. He knew when he'd taken over at Manchester United it was going to be a massive job, despite him knowing the club through thick and thin. I think the club made a mistake by giving him the job. But the main explanation we give him the job permanently 2 years ago was reflecting on what he did in that 3-month period when he was the interim manager, because he won 14 games out of 19 in all competitions. But I think he is in a position that he shouldn't be really in. So in a way, I do feel sorry for him, and I think the only reason why Solskjaer is still Manchester United manager is because he's a club legend. Disregarding being a club legend, I don't think he'd have been here now, because we have endured very, very bad periods under Ole, where you can say, yeah, he was lucky not to be sacked. We was poor at the first part of this season. We was poor at the first part of last season. We enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. We haven't been so good at Old Trafford this season. We've been far better away from home than we have been at home. Solskjaer's been tactically naive in the vast majority of the games he's managed at Man United. But there has been some games where he's showed tactical flexibility, but he's got to show that persistently. Solskjaer hasn't only been what the only issue at the club. I still think there's certain players at Man United that are not good enough to represent the club. Our board has been a big issue for several years, reflecting now how our recruitment policy has been. We've overpaid for players, and in general, the managers that we've had since Ferguson retired haven't got the players that they wanted to recommend in. Woodward's been at the club since 2012 and the Glazers have been at the football club since 2005. But Woodward has come out several times to show his support for Solskjaer. And even enjoying them bad periods, he showed that Solskjaer's job was safe. But after the 6-1 defeat to Tottenham towards the start of the season, Woodward warned that Solskjaer could get sacked if things don't improve. And they did improve, didn't they, from that point? But this year's summer transfer window is huge for Manchester United. It really is. And if Solskjaer is still Man United manager in the summer transfer window, I think there's a good chance that he'll get the backing that he deserves, because obviously we've got John Murtough in as our director of football, and John Murtough knows the club well because he's been at Man United for like 7 or 8 years. It was the right decision for Man United to get a director of football in, because we was in for one for a long time, and I did say it's one of the structural changes that we need at the club. And we've got Darren Fletcher, that's our technical director, and he knows the club through thick and thin. You know, Michael Carrick's part of the club and he knows the club well. Kieran McKenna's also there. Solskjaer's had the transfer summer with our new recruitment team. He was discussing our transfer targets and he was discussing our transfer plans for the summer in general. But Woodward has analysed it this season, and he did a statement after our quarter financial results, which was earlier on this season. He did say the progress by Solskjaer and the players this season is clear. So what he's saying in that aspect is there has been progress this season from last season. Solskjaer will probably still be Man United manager in the summer transfer window. A transfer budget's been revealed. It's £80 million. That's not enough for us to get the players we want in my opinion. Solskjaer is planning to sell at least 4 players so it can bolster our transfer budget, and he hopes to raise as much as £60 million. Solskjaer didn't get that much to spend though, did he, in his first transfer window as Man United manager? You know, some teams are sensible with their recruitment, but we're certainly not, because we've overpaid for players in recent years. But I can identify the weaknesses in the squad straight away. You know, you've got to say we need a striker, someone who can be clinical in front of goal. Do we need a right winger? We certainly need a holding midfielder. We need a centre-half. It says we're in search for a right-back to provide competition for Wan-Bissaka. Right-back isn't the main priority though. I think a striker and a defensive midfielder and centre-half's much important than getting a right-back in. But want to get a right-back in to provide competition for Wan-Bissaka. But we're looking at quite a lot of players. And on my recent video, I give you the news on Harry Kane, didn't I, from Tottenham. Now, apparently, Harry Kane wants to leave Tottenham because he's unhappy. So Manchester United could sign him in the summer transfer window. We'll probably have to pay in the excess of £120 million. So we paid that. That'd make Kane our most expensive signing. David Ornstein give his perception on this regarding Kane. David Ornstein's reliable, and he said that he's been talking to a lot of people and he reckons that Kane wants to leave Tottenham. He said he's still committed to Tottenham, but he wants to win big trophies, and he isn't experiencing this at Tottenham. Tottenham recently got knocked out of the Europa League, didn't they? I think Jose Mourinho is under pressure at Tottenham. There was narratives coming out earlier on this season regarding Kane, saying that Tottenham had revealed their asking price and it was £150 million, which is a British world record fee. I'd certainly take Harry Kane at Manchester United because he is regarded as one of the best strikers in the world. He's a prolific goal scorer, his link-up play is good. Obviously, won the Golden Boot a couple of times. Kane has been at Tottenham for 17 years now in total. That's obviously including his time in their youth setup. He's been in Tottenham's senior squad since 2009. Kane has scored 160 goals in 234 appearances in the Premier League. And Kane is under contract with Tottenham until 2024. He's had loan spells with Leyton Orient, Millwall, Norwich and Leicester. And Kane's highly experienced, he's 27 years of age, but he has still got a lot of development in him. Now, we've been linked with Pedro Neto from Wolves. He said recently that Man United are eyeing a 50 million plus move for Pedro Neto. We're actually seeing him as an alternative to Jadon Sancho. He actually had a trial at Carrington back in 2016, did Pedro Neto as a teenager, but he didn't impress enough, so we decided not to get him. Wolves paid £18 million for him from Lazio. He was on loan with Lazio, but then I think Lazio actually got him permanently. Before he was at Lazio, he was at Braga. He's got a contract with Wolves till 2025, but his performances for Wolves have been outstanding. He's predominantly a right winger, and he's just 21 years of age. So would you take him at Manchester United? I'd certainly take Declan Rice. He said not so long ago that Solskjaer had agreed with our new recruitment team that Declan Rice would be the perfect signing for the club, but I think West Ham are demanding £80 million. So we'll have to pay £80 million to convince West Ham to offload him. But earlier on this season, it said that West Ham were considering lowering their asking price to £50 million for Declan Rice. He was relentlessly linked with a move to Chelsea last year. That's when Frank Lampard was Chelsea's manager. He was Lampard's top target, so Lampard was infuriated when he missed out on him. But the main explanations I'd take Declan Rice at Man United is because he's well proven in the Premier League. He's still young, he's got a lot of development in him, and he breaks up the play well. He's been at West Ham 7 years. He's got a contract with West Ham until 2024. Before he was at West Ham, he was at Chelsea. He was in their youth setup for a long time, but he never got in their first team. Rafael Varane, we're still linked with him. He's a centre-half. I would 100% take him at Man United because I think he'd go very well alongside Harry Maguire in our back line, would Rafael Varane. Been a lot of centre-halves on our agenda. We are going to certainly sell players in the summer transfer window, like I've already gone through with you. Cavani, he could leave in the summer transfer window. Juan Mata, I think there's a good chance he'll leave because Mata doesn't get in R11. He's actually out of injury at the moment. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer said he wasn't surprised that Mata was linked to a move away from the club. Earlier on this season, he rejected an £18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia. But I think Matt's had a good career at Man United. He's been at the club over 6 years. He's made over 200 appearances in all competitions and he's scored 50 goals. We got him in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2014. Martial, there's a lot of Man United fans that are saying we need to sell him in the summer transfer window because he's no longer good enough to represent the club, and Martial has been out of form for the vast majority of this season. He's had chances but he hasn't converted them, so he's been heavily criticised. We sell Martial in the summer transfer window, I reckon we'll get around £31 million. 30 or 31 million, something like that. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer said he's been impressed with Martial's work rate and he's backed him to rediscover his form. But Martial was good last season and he was good in his debut season under Van Gaal. Martial has been at the club over 5 years. I think it was last season Solskjaer gave him that number 9 shirt. There's a good chance that Donny van de Beek is going to leave Man United in the summer transfer window. Mark Hughes has been talking about Donny van der Beek. Mark Hughes says that Donny van der Beek looks lost at Man United and is edging closer to a Man United exit. Now, there has been narratives coming out about a swap deal between Donny van der Beek and Erling Haaland. It says, we could use Donny van der Beek in a swap deal with Borussia Dortmund. We're looking at a few players from Borussia Dortmund, aren't we? Now, it did recently say that Donny van der Beek felt loved at Manchester United despite his lack of game time. But prior to that, he said Donny van der Beek wants to leave Manchester United after just one season due to his lack of game time, and he wanted to hold showdown talks with Ed Woodward regarding his future. Van der Beek did play against Leicester, obviously played a part in the equalising goal. It was a good dummy to his credit, but prior to that, very quiet and struggled. He's only just come back from injury. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer made an admission saying that Van der Beek is unhappy at the club due to his lack of game time, but he's promised him more game time at Manchester United. ESPN said back in January that we rejected several loan offers for Donny van der Beek because we was reluctant to let him go. He's a versatile player because he can play in 3 different roles. We got Van der Beek in a deal worth £40 million. Most of his appearances have come from the bench. He's only started 2 games in the league this season. Certainly wasn't expecting that. Matic, there's a good chance we're going to sell him because he's not one of our first choice midfielders, but he still gets his chances. I've always had my strong reservations about Matic because he's always been a static player. He's enjoyed some good games at Man United, but the vast majority of the games he's been too inconsistent and he's too predictable. And I think the club made a mistake giving him that 3-year contract. Matic has been at the club almost 4 years. We got him in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea in 2017. Will Fred leave in the summer transfer window? Fred enjoyed an abysmal game against Leicester. Probably his worst game he's ever had in a Manchester United shirt. He was accountable for the first goal. And he gave the ball away countless times, and I kind of sure Fred wasn't worth the £52 million we got him for. But he's had some good games as a Man United player, and aspects of his game have improved. Phil Jones, I want him to leave this year. I think there's a good chance that we'll sell David De Gea, so we can make Dean Henderson our first choice goalkeeper, because I think Dean Henderson is now reliable enough to become our first choice goalkeeper. Dean Henderson has started 6 games in a row for Man United. Eric Bailly, he could be leaving in the summer transfer window. Eric Bailly's actually furious with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because he feels disrespected and not wanted by Solskjaer. Eric Bailly believes that we're only willing to offer him a new contract to increase his asking price. Bailly has just 15 months left on his current contract. I don't want him to go in the summer. I want him to stay potentially past the summer because Bailly's a good centre-half. My only element of concern about him is too injury-prone, so in that aspect he is a liability. And Paul Pogbino, he could still leave the club in the summer transfer window. I think we'll be looking to get rid of Lingard permanently. We'll be looking to get rid of Delors permanently. So we sell all them players, we'll generate a substantial amount, and that'll help us with our rebuilding process. It really, really will. It is the international break. After the international break, we do play Brighton, and Manchester United must get back to winning ways. We've got to bounce back from that 3-1 loss to Leicester in the FA Cup quarter-final. The FA Cup was a chance of a trophy as well for Manchester United. We are the second most successful team in FA Cup history. We have won 12. But the last time we won it was back under the Louis van Gaal era. And I don't see us winning a Premier League title for a while. I'm kind of sure we won't win one under Ollie. We haven't won the Premier League since 2013. But in the last 8 years, nothing's changed at Man United. It's just been an ongoing cycle of inconsistency. And a lot of United fans predicted that we wasn't going to be that good when Ferguson retired, and it's actually come true. No one is going to replicate Ferguson's legacy. You know, Sir Alex Ferguson endured a 27-year tenure at Man United. He won 30-odd trophies, including 13 Premier Leagues. So reflecting on that, he brought success to the club, did Alex Ferguson. But Ferguson didn't settle in straight away because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Man United. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is inheriting some players from other managerial eras. Obviously, there's still some players even from the Mourinho era. Solskjaer's got rid of a few players though Mourinho brought in. There's still some players even from the Van Gaal era, but the vast majority of the players Van Gaal brought in are no longer here. Matt's still here from the Moyes era, and there's only 2 now here from the Sir Alex Ferguson era, and that's De Gea and Phil Jones. But I think we've got some very, very good players. And analysing our squad at the moment, I said it's good enough to finish at least in the top 4. Not good enough to win the league yet, obviously. You know, Dean Henderson's a very good goalkeeper. He's got a long-term future at Man United, I'm kind of sure that. Still young, got a lot of development in him. Luke Shaw's a superb left-back. He's been our player of the season by far. He's been the best left-back in the Premier League this season as Luke Shaw by far. Eric Bailly's a good centre-half. Maguire can be a good centre-half when he wants to be, but despite that, wasn't worth the £80 million we got him for. And Wan-Bissaka's a very, very good right-back, but he just doesn't show enough attacking intent. That's what's letting him down at the moment, but there has been some games where he's showed good attacking intent. Fred, you know, he can be good when he wants to be. Paul Pogba, he'd get in a lot of teams. He'd probably get in Liverpool's team, he'd get in Chelsea's team, he'd get in Arsenal's team. He'd get in a lot of teams with Pogba because he's a really, really good player. And he's been inconsistent, Paul Pogba, a lot of the time since he rejoined from Juventus. But in the last few months and that, we've been getting the best out of him. Paul Pogba has just come back from a thigh injury. I think we need to play Paul Pogba on the left wing because that's where he's more effective, you know. And that a left wing is obviously more of an advanced role. You know, Van der Beek's good when he plays. You know, Bruno Fernandes, he's been superb. He's our best player, Bruno Fernandes, by far. Mason Greenwood, he's done very, very well since he broke into our first team squad. You know, Rashford's a good player, obviously out injured at the moment. You know, Cavani's made a fantastic impact since he's come in as well. So there you go. But I want to see Manchester United play expansive football. I don't see it enough. I've seen it a couple of times, but I need to see it persistently. Our football's been very, very boring in a lot of games under Ollie. You know, the football was poor under Mourinho. I hated the way Mourinho approached them big games because it was part of the bus football. You know, the brand of football under Louis van Gaal was atrocious. It was turgid football, you know. So that's why I did a video, was it a few weeks ago, saying that Solskjaer is the new Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho. But mistakes have been made in the last 8 years, there's no question, and that's why we haven't been as consistent as we'd like to have been. So yeah, so let me know who would you have in as your next manager at Man United if Solskjaer is sacked. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.